Good morning, my ninth graders, and welcome back to another week of distance learning. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, and it's also Cinco de Mayo, if you've ever heard of that. That is a holiday celebrated in Mexico. But today we are going to get started with the book I told you we were going to read called Romeo and Juliet. So I'm going to walk you through what this is going to look like for us for the next couple of weeks, because this is what we will be doing probably for the rest of the school year, reading this story. So I'm going to go into this folder, the week of May 5th through the 8th, and at the very top you see Romeo and Juliet play. This play is going to come up here for you. Right off the bat, we see a big heart. The heart is kind of like bleeding. This is a symbol for the story. This story is called a tragedy because it's actually quite sad. I'm going to be reading this play to you, but it's a little different because it's got acts and scenes like we talked about last week. There are 5 acts in this story. Each day I'm going to read a scene. Sometimes I might read 2 scenes, depending. So today I will be reading to you the first act and the first scene. So as I showed you last week, there are some different characters. We have the Montague family. This is the family of Romeo. Lord and Lady Montague are his mother and his father. Romeo is the main character, one of them. And then Benvolio is his cousin, who we will also see. There is the Capulet family, and this is the family of Juliet. Lord and Lady Capulet are her mother and father. Juliet is the other main character in this story. And then there is a guy named Tybalt, and that's her cousin. In this story, there are also some other important characters, but they aren't really in the families. So there's Prince Aeschylus, and he is sort of like the president of Verona, the town that they all live in. There is Paris, who's a friend of the prince and who wants to marry Juliet. There is Mercutio. He's a good friend of Romeo's. There is a nurse, Juliet's nurse. In this case, when we think about nurse, not like nurse in the hospital, this is more like a person who has taken care of Juliet since she was a baby. There's Father Lawrence. He is a priest or a pastor in the church. And then there is a friend of Father Lawrence, Father John, that is a friend. This character is not very important. Then there are the people of Verona and the people of Mantua. Those are the 2 settings we talked about. There is Lord Montague's servants, the people who work for him. Lord Capulet's servants, the people who work for them. There is a shopkeeper, and then there are musicians. These are minor characters, which means they don't say a lot in the play. These are the major characters. They say a lot in the play. So each day we will read, and you might hear my voice. Sometimes you might hear someone else reading too. And I'm going to start reading this today, but I'll do that in a little bit. After you hear the play, and you'll notice I'm reading the play, I'm going to be reading Lord Capulet's servants, these are the people who are speaking. So when you see their name in front of it, it means they're talking, okay? And then when you see this kind of writing, nobody is saying this. This is what it would be, they would be doing if you were watching the play in a theater, okay? After each scene, you will notice that there are some questions for you. So Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 1 questions. So you'll go to these questions and you will read them and you will answer them in Notability. There are going to be a couple of questions, in this case 5 questions for the first scene. And then there is something called a journal prompt. You are going to make a connection to the story. So for example, your first journal prompt, have you ever been in a fight or seen a fight happen? How did it start and how did it end? This tells you that the first part of this book, there's going to be fighting. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of killing in this story, okay? And then you're going to answer these questions, the questions for this particular act. What is the setting? Who is fighting? Why are they fighting? What does the prince tell them? And why is Romeo so sad? These are the questions you'll be answering for the first scene. You will have a different set of questions each day. So every day you will listen to one scene and you will answer questions and you will do the journal where you make a connection to the story from your own life. That is the way this will work. And at the end of each act, you will take a quiz. So let's look at what that is. So we will be reading. We will be answering some questions this week, and then at the end, you will take a quiz, and it's a short little quiz, okay? So that will be what the first week of Romeo and Juliet is going to look like, and I might put some scenes from the movie in here so you can see that as well, all right? But to start, we're going to look at the very beginning of the play, and in my next video, you will see how the story starts and you will answer the questions on your own. If you have questions for me about the story, go ahead and email me, or you can always call me. There are lots of movies of Romeo and Juliet on the internet, YouTube, and you can also watch those as well. All right? This is William Shakespeare's most famous play. Everybody knows the story of Romeo and Juliet. It is a very sad play, but it is also very romantic. So it's a love story with a lot of sadness too. All right? I'm really excited for you to get to read this play. I love this play. I read this when I was in 9th grade too. Most 9th graders in America read this in 9th grade. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started.